I'm Captain David Kim.
I'm a Captain Sharon.
We're the DYS in Golden State Division.
I'm grateful to be part of this beautiful celebration.
Before we begin, we would like to introduce our divisional leader, Major Darren and Mary Norton. They are going to share some words of welcome.
Well, we are so excited to be celebrating camp this weekend. And I know for most of us, camp gives us opportunities to celebrate together, whether it's outdoor adventure camp or women's retreat or youth councils or many other opportunities that we have. Camp is what brings us all together.
Yeah, we're so excited to be here. We're inside the Redwood Glen TV studio. It's fantastic. We're so excited about these next 3 days, and we're so thrilled that you've joined us. We're going to take a trip down memory lane. We're going to show you some videos. You're going to hear from past divisional leaders and divisional youth secretaries. You're going to hear from previous camp staff and campers. And we're just going to have a really great time together this weekend as we remember God's blessings to us and remember the unique impact of camp. I came from England to America because of summer camp. I met my wife because of summer camp. And so we'll share a little bit more about our story on Sunday, but we just want you to sit back and enjoy all that we have planned for you this weekend. And we know that God will bless you and will impact your life as we remember his goodness together. The very first thing we want to do is cut to a video. We have a very special welcome from our brand new territorial leaders, Commissioners Doug and Colleen Riley.
Well, hello to all of you at Redwood Glen Camp. The alumni, campers, and friends, Commissioner Doug and Colleen Riley here just to welcome you to this monumental occasion, the 75th anniversary of Camp Redwood Glen. The weekend's going to be just an epic one where we celebrate the past 75 years and we look forward to what God has in store for the next 75.
Camp really is a powerful ministry of this Army. And when you think of the first time opportunities to lead a child or an adult to Jesus, camp really is often the memory that comes to mind. So just for a moment, let's thank God for the hundreds of thousands of men and women, girls and boys, young and old, that came to Jesus while at camp. We praise God for those of you who are joining us this weekend.
Camp is a place of great memories. I always say, if you've attended camp, you have a memory of a lifetime. That's how important it is to our lives. And one of the greatest memories for me is because that's where I met my wife. It's a place where it brings back great feelings, where it taught me leadership and gave me some lifelong friends who all worked at camp. A place where I grew to know the Lord. So it's a rich, deep place in my heart. And it's a vital ministry that shares love and joy and laughter and the love of God with all who come through those gates. For me, it was 47 years ago that I came through those gates. That's a long time ago, and don't you start counting.
So congratulations, these 75 years of changing lives and sharing God's creation. We thank God for each of you who have been a part of this ministry. Know that God takes splendor in this place, and you are a part of that.
So as we celebrate and enjoy these memories, the stories, the skits, the pranks, the friendships, remember how God changed you through this experience with him at Camp Redwood Glen. And I thank God for this camping legacy and for each of you who played a part in it. And let's enjoy the time together and thank God for all he has done in these 75 years.
All right, welcome back. Sitting
thank
with
you.
me are our amazing, spectacular, and incredible camp director and assistant camp director, our Papa Cove, Ed Colbert, and
Our beautiful camp lady, Amber.
Alright, so they'll be our hosts for the event and taking us through the program today.
Awesome.
All right,
Well,
thanks.
thank you, David and Sharon, and hello, friends, and welcome to Camp's 75th celebration.
Yeah, we are so glad to be able to join with you, but we're really sad to not have you all here with us to celebrate with us and with each other. But we're gonna have three segments. So we've got tonight's segment tomorrow at 10:30, and then Sunday again at 2:30. So we hope that you'll join us for each of those. But right now, as a way of knowing who all's here, would you leave a comment and your name and the years that you were a camper or camp staff in the comment section. And you can click at the bottom of your page there to open up the chat, and you can let us know what years you were here. And while you're doing that, I've made a few calculations actually on how many campers and staff have passed through our gates over the years. So well over 4,000 staff have experienced this place in the 75 years. Over 75,000 summer campers. And when you consider church retreats and school groups and divisional events over the 75 years, it's been hundreds of thousands of people who have experienced the beauty and the sacredness of this very special place. And you know what? Even though you're not here with us now, we know that there are still many more yet to come because God has a bright future ahead for us.
Amen.
Yeah. And while all of you are, I'm hoping, commenting and telling us who you are and what you're doing here and how you found us, we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit more. So I'm Amber, like David and Sharon said so kindly. Thank you. I'm the assistant camp director, and I found this place so randomly in 2012. And the second I came onto this place, I knew it was special and I didn't want to leave. And so that first summer, I was the older girls unit leader, Lady Cougars, what up? Lady Cougars in the house. And ever since that summer, I didn't know much about Salvation Army, but I knew I loved camping ministry. And in God's infinite plan, he knew that this would be the place for me. And so I've been here ever since. I haven't left.
Wow.
Yeah, almost 9 years working together.
Yeah, and time is flying by. I didn't know it. It was almost a decade. But Ed, why don't you tell us, our friends at home, your name and how long you've been on this camping ministry journey? I think a little more than 9 years, probably.
Yeah, it's been a few more than 9. I'm Ed Covert, commonly known now as Papa Cove. So I accept that warmly when I hear it. But it does remind me that the years have a really meaningful, fruitful ministry have kind of been rolling along. I've been here at Redwood Glen for 11 years. Was here as a camper and a staff member in the summers, but 11 years here now as the executive director, and over 30 years total in camping ministry for the Army.
So incredible. And I bet so many of my friends watching right now have been able to work with you specifically and probably have some really great stories about you.
Yeah, they probably would have a few stories. We won't go into any of those stories right now at this point. But so much has happened over the years, and so many wonderful people have spent time here. And speaking of great people, the Kims are here with us tonight, and I'd love to chat with them for a minute. So can you tell us a little about yourselves?
All right.
Hello, everyone. We are GYS, like Ed said, and we wanted to let you all know how thankful we are that we get to be part of this camp's legacy.
Yep, and so many great DYSs have come before us, and we're so grateful to all of them for paving the way. And we'll be sure to carry on the good work.
Yeah, well, we are so happy that you're both here. And we're very excited for however long that gets to be. I've mentioned, and I'll say it here publicly, that my contention is for Major Norton or for Commissioner Riley that because of the events that have short-circuited this summer, that this ought to be your red shirt season. So this doesn't count as your years of opportunity here as our DYSs. So, but we're really excited about being able to do ministry together with you guys, and I know it'll be good.
Yep.
Amen.
We know it will
We
be
are one
good.
team.
And you know what, guys? I am very curious about something.
What?
I'm curious, as people have been listening to us talk, if they're actually commenting and like found that open chat bar. And I bet we have some people here who've been here since the very beginning, like 1945, very beginning. I bet those people are here with us.
Well, you know what? Let's check. Let's check. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
But while we do that, should we show people what camp looks like right now?
Yeah.
I think so.
That's a great idea.
All right.
Have a look. So I think that's what I'd like to do.
Okay.
So let's show them. You ready to roll?
Yeah. Let's do it.
In 1, 2, 3, Action. Camp was bought in 1945, and in that first year, a young teenager named Lucille was on staff. And I have it on good authority that in those days, she was affectionately known as Lucy.
That's correct.
And tonight, we have Major Lucille Youngquist here with us to share a little bit of what camp was like 75 years ago.
Well, I want to tell you that it's much different than it was 75 years ago. This was a farm. And as you came in the main gate, there was a barn. And there were trees where the pool is now until we get up to Ed Covert's place. The trees were like apricot, apple, plums, and there were cabins all along the path up toward the lodge that would accommodate 1 or 2 people only, and no indoor plumbing. So you know what that means.
Can you tell us, could you tell us a little bit about what it was like to be on staff?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
My Corps officer at that time in the Richmond Corps was Brigadier Olin Edwards. He told me that Territorial Headquarters had purchased a farm and we were going to open a camp. Would I like to go there and work? And of course I said yes immediately. And I said, but I have to go home and ask my parents if I can do that. I did. I went home and asked my dad, and he said, no, you need to be home. I said, oh, okay. And I wasn't feeling very happy about it. But then in about a half an hour, he came back and he said, "I've changed my mind. You can go." I said, "Oh, wonderful." And I was really happy that, so happy to get to the Corps to tell my officers that I could go. And it was something different that first year because we made all the beds with sheets and blankets and pillows and pillowcases. The officers in charge are in a picture here, and they came to us from Colorado, and they were very, very good about maintaining a camp and about telling the staff what their jobs were. And I was at that time making beds, and a young man came in to the cabin and introduced himself to me, and I thought that was unusual. But then after a few minutes, I said, "I'll see you much later. I'm busy right now." And I went up to clean up the front room of the old lodge, and 3 fellows walked in the front door: Bobby Taylor, Paul Bodine, and Oscar Youngquist. And I didn't need to have an introduction. They introduced themselves. And it was an interesting experience getting acquainted with them. But somewhere along the way, territorial headquarters gave the camp to Northern California. It was called California Nevada Division at that time, not Golden State. And it was a wonderful thing that happened at that time because people began to do things to upgrade the farm. The barn came down, and a recreation area became available through the courtesy of the Women's Auxiliary in San Francisco. We're so thankful that people will take an interest and donate to the camp. So for that, those kind of things that happen.
So as I understand it, the guy who would eventually become your husband, Oscar, worked that first summer with you. So any funny or memorable stories that you want to share about that first summer working with Oscar?
Oh, yes. I have several, but I will only do a couple of them. We were at a loss for a place for the children to, or the young people to swim. And the Bean Creek was dammed up so that it could be made into a swimming pool. But it was very dark, and so the lifeguard had to be very careful about his watching. So I wasn't allowed to go to the pool because somehow the Major and Mrs. Rowe seemed to know that there was an interest there. So I had to be excluded from the swimming because I might be a distraction.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
We don't want to distract the lifeguard.
no. So anyway, funny things did happen at that swimming pool. As a matter of fact, one lady was swimming and she came out with only half her bathing suit.
Oh, no.
And so the lifeguard had to send her back in and have her look for her bathing suit in the pool. And it was difficult because it was dark and dreary down in that pool.
Yeah.
But it was a fun thing to get to know that he could be a watchful care person. But he not only was the lifeguard, he was a truck driver. He had to go every day into Santa Cruz to pick up groceries.
Yeah.
Or to take the laundry or whatever was necessary.
We've come a long way since those days.
Absolutely.
So you and your husband, Oscar, returned to lead camp as the DYSs, and if I've got my facts right, from 1966 to 1970. And those were interesting years in our culture and society. Can you tell us a little bit about your ministry at camp as DYSs?
Yes, that too was a very interesting and it wasn't our first appointment as DYSs. We had served in 3 other appointments as DYS and came then from Hawaii to Northern California. And we enjoyed it very much because we knew about the camp and we're excited about being here because it was an added experience for us. But we had some very good highlights. And as we worked with the camp, we knew that Jesus was walking with us and helping us to do the things that were necessary, because he walked with us as he did with his disciples. And you remember he was on two of the disciples were on the road to Emmaus and complaining about the things that had transpired the last few days. And then all of a sudden there was a visitor with them, walking along with them, and it was Jesus, but they didn't recognize him. And as he walked along with them, he was asking them what they were discussing, and they told him, "Are you new in this area? Do you not know that our leader was crucified?" And Jesus kept walking along with them until they came to Emmaus. And then he acted as though he was going to go on and walk further. But they enticed him to stay overnight. So he went in with them, and he was just being polite by pretending to go on. He wanted to be invited in, just as he wants us to invite him into our lives. So he went in with them to the disciples, and then they realized who he was because he offered prayer.
Yeah.
Some of the highlights of that camping experience was a Red Shield Club that was working out of San Francisco with the Citadel Corps. And a gentleman by the name of Jack Wolf was the director. Yeah. And he brought his boys out to the camp. And some of them were kind of ruffians, you would say. And by the time they got into the camping, and their instruments like knives and brass knuckles and those kind of things were taken away, and so that they could be given back to them at the end of the camp, they were mellowed. They mellowed a lot. Yeah. So it was really a tremendous experience working with them. And also, there were the blind people that came from San Francisco Blind Center. They only needed to be escorted by the staff once or twice. After that, they found their way to their cabin, back to the old lodge for their meals and that sort of thing. You found their way around. Then another interesting group was the allergy children, young people who had severe allergies, including my daughter, Alice, who had allergies. And the nurse was really quite busy during that week, but it was very rewarding to see how much those allergy children enjoyed camp. Also, another group that was very interesting was the single mothers and children that came, and mothers could stay in the cabin with their children. And it was a really a wonderful time for the mothers to compare notes and see each other. But our fondest memory, I think, would have been on the Sundays. We always had chapel service on Sunday, and that was their last day at camp. Yeah. They went home on Monday morning. So and when I saw the young people kneeling at the altar and accepting the Lord, that was a very rewarding experience to know that all your efforts that you put in that week came to a head. And it was really great.
God pouring his favor out on your ministry.
Very much so.
Yeah, it's so great. Well, what advice would you give me as we look to reopen sometime soon in the months ahead that will launch us into the 75th anniversary as we wrap this up?
Do what you've been doing. But you know that publicity is really quite the factor of getting people into camp. And I think the written word with dates or amounts of money or whatever is needed, in that type of information, so that the parents can be prepared, or whoever is sending the children to camp. If it's not the parents, it's somebody who is interested in them. There are a number of youth centers and clubs in the counties just surrounding the camp, so they can make personal contacts with, and I would say, not just camp staff make the personal contacts, but also take a child that has been at camp with you and let them tell their story.
Oh, yeah.
And that would make an interesting feature for somebody who might be interested in coming to camp.
Well, thank you. You know, I'm just really grateful for you and the influence that you and your husband have had on my life. Even as a kid, when I was a little bit of a rascal in San Francisco, and we had a group of fellas that were known as the Midnight Marauders, and you guys never really blew us up for some of that rascal behavior. So thank you very much for this time. There have been so many people who have worked here and visited this place from 1945 through today. And we're grateful for the heritage and the legacy that has been laid for us. And so we put together a little collage, a video of staff photos and candid pictures from those years. So please enjoy this with us. Thank you. So tonight we launch an Alumni and Friends Association that will be known as the Living Bridge Society. And for many of you, the mention of the Living Bridge will bring back memories of a special place here at camp where you sat and contemplated big and little decisions in life. And as you crossed the bridge, figuratively and metaphorically, somehow those decisions that you faced seemed to often come into clear focus. Well, the actual Living Bridge is only a memory now. It was lost in a flood some time back. But the metaphor is a valuable and important one. You as alumni and friends have the opportunity to be the living bridge that thousands of children will cross into camp to experience the love of Jesus and the joy and the adventure of childhood. I'd like to tell you about a young man who worked on staff here and lived his life to honor God, to love kids, and to point them to Jesus. James Simpson is his name. We knew and loved him as Big Oso. James lost a battle this year with the coronavirus. And although his days on earth were not nearly long enough, his positive impact and influence on the lives of kids and the people who knew him will be felt for years. James knew what it meant to be the bridge for kids to cross from hopelessness to hope and from chaos to courage. And he'll be missed greatly. So it's in his honor that a significant gift of $25,200 has been given to establish a campership fund as we launch the Living Bridge Society tonight. And I want to acknowledge Chris and Gina Noble and their family for the love for James, for their love for James, and his gift, and this gift to camp to establish the foundation for the Living Bridge. With this gift, we're well on our way to our weekend's goal of $75,000. 75 years, $75,000. And I think we can make it. As alumni and friends, I hope that you'll consider joining the Living Bridge Society. And when you do, you'll receive a commemorative pin that has an image on it that looks just like the old Living Bridge. You'll also receive a lapel pin that you can wear proudly that says you're part of creating a living bridge for kids to travel across to get to camp. You'll also receive a logoed polo shirt that is just a beauty. We'll show it to you maybe tomorrow morning. And then we'll also have some other special offers and invitations for you throughout the year, a newsletter and an annual report just to keep you up to date on what's happening with the Living Bridge Society. So I hope that you'll partner with us to create a living bridge for kids that will ensure access to camp for them for years to come. So yeah, thank you, and join us as we launch this Living Bridge Society.
Yeah, awesome. And the leaders through the years who have been able to help preserve and protect this place and have made sure that camp has always been a safe place for kids to come have set in their wishes for you all.
Yeah, Amber, we've had so many great staff and leaders through the years, and I'm so grateful for God's provision in this way. And so many of you have made this camp special, and we're so thankful for the summers that you've poured into not only this space, but the people during those times.
Yeah. And it's so cool to hear from people who have been here since the beginning, like Lucille. And I bet there are more people like Lucille with a long history of this place. And can you remember any DYSs or divisional commanders?
Yeah, I can. I can remember quite a few. There were the Loves in the 70s, and my mom and dad in the 80s, and the Foleys were DYSs here in the 90s.
Yeah, and then the Foleys, they came back when I was here, and they were in our division as divisional commanders, and I got to work with them.
Yeah, you know what I thought would be fun right now?
What?
I think we've got some messages from past DYSs and past DCs to share.
Oh, that's fun. Let's play it.
I'm Major George Rochlow.
Major Don Rochlow.
Don and I served in Northern California Division before it split into Del Oro and Golden State. We were there from 1985 to 2016.
Joe and Sean Basilico here. We just want to thank you for the opportunity to give a little input as you celebrate 75 years at Camp Redwood Glen.
Well done.
Place that will be special to both of us.
We're happy to bring greetings today for the 75th anniversary of Redwood Glen. It's hard to believe that it's been operating that long.
We have watched and have thought back about the camp, but watched the improvements and the changes that have taken place since we left, and that's truly a helpful, inspiring, and encouraging thing.
We both have spent a little bit of our youth there. When I was 16, it was one of the most impressive years in my life as I worked on staff babysitting of all things. But I had several friends around me who really invested in me and my spiritual life, and it made such a difference. It really did change the direction that I went from that point on. It was only a half a summer, but I loved every minute of it, and I learned God's word in a way that will forever be important in my heart.
We've always considered Redwood Glen a holy place, holy ground, where I was first exposed as a cadet, and later got the chance to run a camp for one summer while the National Youth Congress was going on, and then later as divisional leaders.
One of my best memories though at camp was one of the years we had to do the 2 youth councils, and we had just had the altar call on Sunday morning, and there were so many young people at the altar. It was just fantastic. You could just feel the Holy Spirit. In fact, I remember just hovering around the chapel for a little bit after that altar call. I don't think I could even eat lunch. It was just a fantastic, the spirit at camp was just tremendous.
Such a beautiful location. We know that God created it, and there are many lives that are changed, and we're just excited to know that it's been in existence for 75 years. How wonderful.
Redwood Glen, great place for ministry though during those years. My wife and I were happy to serve there, and what are we going to say to everybody? Happy
anniversary.
75th anniversary to everyone, and God bless you all.
The 4 years that we spent in Northern Cal and at the camp have some really great memories that linger with us. The camp staff who worked very hard and made such an impact in the lives of so many people, so many kids and adults that came to the camp as well. And of course the campers, all of those who came, enjoyed the programs and participated in the events. They made it special as well.
We think that the camping program is vitally important to so many young lives, and it gives kids a chance to get out and see some beautiful nature, all things that God created. So we have great respect and know the importance of camp.
Anniversaries are wonderful because they give us encouragement to stop and remember and think back, which as I do that regarding our years at Redwood Glen, there are many rich memories of people and programs, and it's just fun to get together with some of the staff that were there at that time and just talk it over again and remember again together with them. But in this technology today, we are not able to be together, but we can share with one another. And one of the highlights for me was the marvelous staff that God brought into our team each year. There were returning staff and there were new staff just about every year, but God molded us into a team. They were talented, very creative people, did some excellent programming for the young people, and the chapels were marvelous. Everything just came together.
Congratulate you all on this great event. Wish we could be there in person to celebrate the 75th anniversary.
So think of us while you have a good time, and know that our memories are precious and forever. God bless you all.
Having been the divisional leaders in Golden State, we really appreciate the camp ministry that continues to happen at Camp Redwood Glen, and we just wish you all the best. Wish we could all be there together, but we understand the special circumstances this year. Lord bless you on this anniversary.
As we were watching that video, I was getting so excited about our next guests. I really can't wait to introduce them to you.
Oh, really? Are they here, like right now?
Yes, yeah. Colonels Rich and Betty Love, are you there with us?
We are.
Yeah. Grateful that you could join us. We had Major Lucille, and it mentioned how much the influence that she and her husband had on my life, and I count you among those people who had really significant influence in my life. And if I have my dates and information correct, you guys were DYSs here from 72 through 76. And that was some critical high school years for me here in San Francisco. And so the leadership and the experiences that you provided for us in those days were really still impactful to me. And when I think the dates as divisional leader, if I have them right, were 97 through 2004. So you have a really unique set of experiences or seasons of ministry here, both as DYS and as divisional leaders. And so I was just wondering if I could ask you a few questions about that.
Absolutely.
So as DYSs, could you share a memory and what camp meant to you in your ministry to young people?
You first. Oh, there's so many things. It's so hard to begin, but I would want to say that the Sunday morning chapels, of course, as other people have mentioned, were always highlights. But one of the ones that I remember was actually a little crisis that we experienced. Someone had overbooked the camp, and we had, I don't remember how many young people, but I would say at least 40 or 50. And we had no room for them in the inn. And as a staff, we kind of got together and said, there's no way that we're going to disappoint that many children. So let's figure something out. And we decided that there were some old cabins up on the hill behind the dining room. They're all gone now. They're not there anymore. But we found some mattresses and some outdoor cooking pots and other equipment. And we started a wilderness camp. And we were kind of a little bit feeling apologetic about that, but the kids had a terrific, terrific time and kept signing up year after year to come back for that camp. So we kind of committed once we did it the first time. But isn't that the Army, though? That's really the Army, is figure this out and let's do whatever we can to help as many kids as we can or as many people. And Ed, I have to also say thank you so much to know that we were even a small part of your life, and God's leading in your life is a tremendous thing. And really, that's the investment that we all want, isn't it? Is to invest in someone else's life. Yeah. So that for me is one of a crisis that was avoided, but came out really, really well.
Well, yeah, and the wilderness camp experience continues on here, and we'll have a chance to talk about that a little bit later. Necessity oftentimes leads us to some great innovation. So thank you. So next question, as divisional leaders, why was it important to you to work so hard to preserve and sustain the ministry at Camp Redwood Glen? I know that it was really important to you to fill camp with kids from the city of San Francisco, but what was it for you as divisional leaders that was so important to preserve and sustain the ministry of camp?
Well, camp has been so important for so many kids, not only the campers, but also the staff, who had privilege being very, very close to them. And I think that was one of the great administration we had, is to working with the staff over the years. Both as divisional youth secretaries as well as the DCs. Really good memories.
Right. Well, and for me, my first experience with the Salvation Army was at a camp. And I was a college student and needed a summer job. And immediately, probably after the third week at the Salvation Army camp, I really felt the hand of God touching my life. And I would say that was the beginning of my many, many years with the Salvation Army. But God used it to show me what a difference can be made in a life in a very short period of time. I think others have mentioned that too, that especially Lucille, when she was talking about the kids from the Red Shield Youth Center and how they came with so many problems and so many layers. And bad attitudes. And the first few hours were always a big challenge. But by the time it was time to leave and board the buses, there were tears, hugs, and gratitude for them finding Christ for the first time. Many, many of them. In fact, one of the people that was a camper at Redwood Glen was a soldier of ours in Pasadena when we became Corps officers there. And it was kind of an interesting thing that happened over the years. And as we've heard from other young people over the years, the changes that can happen at camp are just absolutely amazing.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I just wanted to thank you as divisional leaders, just for that sustaining and preserving commitment to providing a space for kids to come through the years. So would you guys be willing to just share a word of blessing and encouragement and a prayer over camp and all who come through these gates in the years to come?
Absolutely. I would also like to make just one small comment.
Sure.
You know, our world is not just from coronavirus, but we're experiencing so many things. This is a very intense time. And at a time like this is when the scripture is so important. For instance, the small things about consider the lilies, how they grow. Finding time for contemplation, a place where you can really tune into God in a quiet way, is absolutely incredibly important. And that's why camp is so important, to be able to have a breathing space so a child or a person, an adult, can really think through it. And in many ways, some of the same emotional responses that were happening in the 40s and through all the other eras of change in our country are happening again. So this kind of intensifies the need to make sure that we sustain camp. So, you know, I'm so grateful that people are putting their dollars behind their good wishes, because we have a great future ahead of us and many people who will need us. A quick prayer now. Father, for your goodness, we give you such great thanks. We thank you for every person who in any way has been touched through the camping program, through the Salvation Army throughout the world. And we just pray that, especially now is for the 75th, that your hand of blessing will really remain on Redwood Glen, that you will continue to bring into the life space of this camp people who have the vision for helping young people turn their lives around. We pray for financial assistance and for all of the things that are needed so that your will can be done. Thank you for all of your blessings over the many, many years. In your name, amen.
Well, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I really appreciate it. And much love to you both. We'll look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And to all of you. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome.
Wow.
That was good.
Yeah. So grateful for them. That was such a good word. And I'm so thankful for the Loves making the time to join us. And we also want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, we do. It has been so fun hearing from people who were here since the beginning and listening to stories from so many different people.
So what's happening tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow it's going to be a good day. We are going to start here at 10:30 a.m. and we're looking at where we are currently. So tonight we looked at where we were, and tomorrow we're going to look at where we are currently.
All right, 10:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Join us right back here.
Oh, yeah. And we'll have some visitors from the early 2000s, highlights of what's been going on, and maybe some friends who will stop in and chat with us.
I'll be there.
Oh, me too. Cool.
So thanks for joining us tonight. We'd love for you to consider joining the Living Bridge Society or helping in any way that you can to send kids to camp and to help us to create a sustainable future.
Yeah. And we are going to stay live for another 15 minutes, so you could continue to donate, you can continue to chat with friends, and you can take some time to consider joining the Living Bridge Society as well.
So you just click on the link on the screen to donate, and then remember to close out your cart at the end in order to, it's up at the top corner of the screen in order to complete your gift. If you choose to do that tonight, we'd be really grateful. You can make a one-time gift or choose a custom option and make a recurring monthly gift if you'd like to. So just really grateful that you've spent the time with us tonight. So thanks.
Yep. Enjoy chatting with each other, and we will see you all tomorrow, 10:30 a.m.
All right, sounds good. See you tomorrow.